Welcome to the 10th Year Seniors Conversation Podcast, and we have some special guests in the studio to discuss the Island House Film Festival. This is the film festival's second year. It's already a success, but I will let them introduce themselves and then just tell us briefly about it. We're going to get into a discussion about film, the festival, the Bahamas, and everything you're here to listen to. So guys, take it away.
Hello, I'm Kareem Mortimer. I'm a filmmaker, and I am one of the board members of the Island House Film Festival. So.
And I'm Anja Allen. I'm also on the board, and I take care of the marketing and communications at the Island House in general, as well as obviously now the film festival.
I have a problem with the introduction, Kari.
Go ahead.
You do not allow famous people to introduce themselves. Kareem Mortimer is famous. He does not do his introductions. What you should have done is you should have had his resume laid out.
No.
Should have had his resume laid out, and you should have been riddling off credits.
I thought about this last night, and I'm like, we're going to use Icons Living as the intro music for the podcast.
Okay, fair.
But then I said, but I still wanted to let him do it himself. Because you need to know, how much are they going to be like, oh, listen, I'm going to run down every single credential that I have. I'd be like, it could be 2 minutes. So
that's fair.
So the Island House Film Festival, Kareem, you were here last year to discuss it. Mm-hmm. It was the first one that you guys did at the Island House. And we went to, I think, every single night. I live east and it's out west, and we even spoke about this on the podcast last year. This year I'm moving out west for the 5-day period.
Yeah. We're gonna have media rooms next year.
That's what I'm saying. So what was the response like last year, I guess, from both of you guys' perspective to the film festival, from the marketing standpoint, from the creative standpoint? What is some of your feedback that you got from it?
So I'll speak from the creative standpoint. So creatively, it was awesome. To have these great films and these actors from films like Patrick DeSeal from Moonlight was here, and Daniel Blake, Dave Johns was here, and some really awesome filmmakers. And the festival is small enough where you just have access to people, so you can come in, you can have a drink with some of the actors, some of the directors, and really chill and get to know each other. And that's the type of environment we had hoped to create, where people can share in a non-competitive environment and just enjoy movies and the people that create them.
And I think for me, that was it was surreal and also refreshing to be able to I'm going to go to you and talk about your film, and the people weren't pretentious. They sat down, they had real conversations with you. They enjoyed the different movies. They had their different takes that they gave on the other films that maybe even though they're in the film industry, they themselves may not have seen it, especially some of the more Caribbean-centric ones. So that was awesome to experience. And for you, from the marketing standpoint, from getting the word out, what was that like, and seeing the response from the Bahamian public?
I think, for us, I think we were all very surprised and obviously very relieved too, because it's one of those things that, we worked very hard on the programming and hard on getting the word out, but it's always a question, here, how are people going to embrace it, and how are people going to come out and enjoy it? And I think every evening from the first night, we're like, wow, we started, we watch ticket sales every 5 minutes, and Kareem and I are addicted to checking the numbers, and we were like, oh my gosh, these screenings are selling out, the parties, everyone's talking about it. So it's one of those things that I think the Island House's vision has always been to, be a gathering space for the local community as well as a boutique hotel. And, I think the vision was put into place, but it was for us to fulfill. And, I think we were obviously thrilled that it was, received in such a way, and people really just understood the vibe that, you can just come and chill. And I don't know, we're a little bit nervous this year if we're going to have the same filmmakers that have that relaxed vibe that will sit there and enjoy and interact with the public as we had last year, because I think that's the beauty of this festival, is that you can sit there, grab a drink or coffee, and bump into, Dave Johns and have a really cool conversation with him,
he was lit last year.
He was lit. He was an amazing character. We were all just so thrilled that everyone meshed, and I think there was this really community spirit amongst the filmmakers, as well as some of those key followers that would be every evening there all night just waiting.
That was me.
Didn't want to name names, but anyway. But so I think from our perspective, I think we're off the back of that, we're thrilled to take it up a little bit. We're adding another day onto it. We want to make sure that those conversations after every screening are given enough space and time for the audience to be able to interact with the filmmakers that we bring down. So we're thrilled, and feedback's been good. So awesome. Onwards and upwards.
The one takeaway I got from what both of you guys were saying was this this film festival is intended to have a different vibe,
Yes.
a more relaxed vibe. That's
For sure.
why it's non-competitive. When you seek out people to be a part of it, is it important that you get creatives that get it, that get the look that you're going for, that get the feel that you're going for?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, obviously Kareem is more connected to that community, so he was the one that, you know, was able to choose. So, you know, I think that's what you know, intended and chose the people that you do know.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you don't know people until you have to spend
Yeah,
the
and
night
until they
with
come
them.
here on island,
Yeah.
you know, we're a little bit nervous on a couple of them because, you know, the more prominent they get, the more expectations they have,
Gotcha.
and we're like, oh wait, is this going to be a little starlet, or is this
Right,
someone that's just going to
'cause,
sit down and
even
gel with us?
even last year when and I hadn't seen Moonlight before before the film festival. So Moonlight is getting all this buzz. There's all this Oscar talk coming into, and I imagine in myself. Even Patrick's a very cool guy.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
wait a second. Like if I'm on this wave, this crescendo.
If I have Oscar buzz.
If I have Oscar buzz
Yeah.
coming into anywhere, it's like, listen, guys. I mean,
Yeah.
my time is precious. Can we
Yeah.
get this rolling? Can we get this rolling? But it was not like that at all. The
No.
response was not like that at all. I think this year there are some very interesting films on the docket. And just to pivot, what are some of the changes that you guys like kind of implemented for people who are curious from last year to this year? What did you learn to be like, we could do this a little better, or we could subtract or take this away?
Well, I always think that I'm perfect, so
I mean,
Facts.
There goes the filmmaker.
I told you should have introduced him.
I mean,
He does need a better introduction.
that
than
should have
O.
been the introduction. You know what? I'm gonna cut that out.
Cut that
and
out.
then just be like,
Chop that out.
I'm creative. I'm
No.
perfect.
no, some of the same changes that Anja was alluding to earlier about like making sure that we have enough time for the Q&A for the audience. We have almost double the amount of guests this year. I think last year we had 7. This year we have 15 guests, 12 filmmakers, and and so we just really looked for ways. We're a little bit more Caribbean centric as well with our selection. So we have about half the programming now is from Caribbean features, and that was really important because I think that these films are really, 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 really awesome. And so but there's a little disconnection that happens with Caribbean films and Caribbean people. And so we hope to bring that bridge and not be a sidebar, but also feature them prominently along with the award-winning films from the year.
Right.
And so that was one thing that, from a programming side,
Right.
that we did differently.
Because as a Caribbean filmmaker and Caribbean storyteller, you kind of like want to get the word out to the public. Be like, we're making films here. This can be good. You can have this as your like avenue of entertainment. And we're going to talk about some of the films that you guys are going to highlight. And so that's one of the changes from that perspective.
Yeah.
For you,
I think from my perspective, we have some amazing sponsors on board. We sat down with our 2 key sponsors from last year who are back on board this year. So RBC, has been our largest and our most, let's say, supportive sponsor. And we sat down with them shortly after the film festival last year and said, what are some of your needs? What are some of your wants, your likes, your dislikes, as well as Corner Bank. And both of them also really said that we want to see how we can engage with our clients and our guests on a one-on-one space with the filmmakers that you bring down. So we've created we added a little bit of an exclusivity for them.
Right,
So
okay.
the opening night, for example, is going to be an invited guest only event where, their guests can basically mingle and get to know the filmmakers on a more intense level. We've got a little bit more of an area where people can relax and unwind, and that's where the filmmakers and our sponsors can get to know each other and a more one-on-one. We had a private dinner last year, and I think off of the back of that, our sponsors really enjoyed the fact that they were able to,
Right.
get to know the filmmakers on that level. So that's one aspect that we've improved on.
What was that dinner like? Because
It was
I want to know,
weird.
like,
It was loud.
like did they watch all the movies like beforehand, or did they be like,
No,
tell
it
me
wasn't.
about your projects?
No, it was funny. It was actually on the Friday, so that was like on our first, or let's say first official day. We were all stressed because that was poor Kareem was like dying.
I felt so bad even talking to him during the festival. He was like, hey, hope you're doing well.
No, I think we had a couple of hiccups on the first night
Yeah.
with regards to some of the screening facilities. But it was a long table, and on the end where Dave Johns was and like our RBC members, I mean, there was just laughter and loudness. And Dave Johns is actually a comedian.
Yeah.
So he was just on a roll, and I think our
He had a
our
couple
guests
drinks in him.
Oh
and
my
he was
gosh!
going.
Like there was just, and then there was like sort of a quieter end, and there was like, what's going on down there? You know? So there was like that jealousy. We're like, we want to
everyone wanted to
back.
slide their chairs to that.
I was at the quiet end.
I know. So it was. So yeah, I think that sort of pushed the boundaries a little bit to say, you know what, the Island House is a small facility. How can we hone in on that, but also make it accessible for everyone, but also make sure that our sponsors, can feel that exclusivity and that feeling. So it's going to be a nice marriage between those. We've got some amazing free events, like a free jazz night with the Jazz Cats, where all drinks are going to be complimentary, thanks to Pictet. There's going to be a really fun salsa night, because I don't know if you guys were there for the salsa party that we had last year, but it's going to be it's like a classic thing that almost every year at every film festival we have to have a salsa party.
3 drinks
that
in, I'll be
crazy.
salsaing up a storm. You don't even know.
This is going to be my rookie season. I didn't get to go last year because I was doing different stuff, but I saw everything that John and Dakari posted last year, and I was pissed every day that I wasn't there. So I will be there listening to the Jazz Cats.
Yes.
I will be learning to salsa
Yes.
mid-party because I've never salsa'd before, but I feel
That's
like I'm
the best
prepared
time
for
to
this.
learn.
I feel like I'm ready.
Yeah, and then obviously we're going to sort of culminate on the final night, which is a Saturday night, which we're taking off property this year, which we're going to be at Philosophy Smokehouse. And we're going to be celebrating what we're going to call the Bahamas best, the best of the Bahamas. So we've got Rhythm and Youth, which are these great kids. I don't know if you've seen them. These Rake and Scrape kids.
Everywhere we go, they have there. Every sporting event.
They
love
perform at
they
many events.
Are the kings and queens, so they're going to be there.
I think I saw them at Battle for Atlantis. Is this the same group?
Yeah.
Battle for Atlantis. Like every year we've been to Battle for Atlantis, they've had a halftime show that they killed.
They are amazing, and it also just makes us proud that is, let's say, the future of our culture and youth. So we're able to spotlight that not only for our guests coming down, because a lot of them haven't ever been to the Bahamas before, don't know anything about Bahamian culture or music or sound. So that's going to be a night when people, our guests and all the people coming down, as well as obviously the public, can come out and enjoy that. We got Junkanoo, we got DJ CRX. So it's going to be Bahamian food. So it's going to be an amazing. We're going to load people on with the best that the Bahamas has. So that'll be a fun night.
This is how you get the buzz going. So we want to talk about now, like some of the films that are going to be showing up. We're going to, as Kareem mentioned, like some of the more Caribbean centric films to open it up. So I think the first night of showing is going to be like when the films actually start showing is going to be on
Thursday.
On Thursday, right?
Yeah, on a Thursday, and I guess the first film that screens is a film called Breathe, which is about a guy that has polio. It's a true story. It's a British film, and then from Breathe we show Cargo because
just because
this is Friday. What's showing on Thursday? We show Dina. Oh my God, Dina is this amazing.
Kareem's on Friday. No, we got Thursday.
Listen, I was pulling up the schedule here. I know you have the schedule, and I'm looking at it right, and I'm like, you know what? He knows more than me. Like the changes that have been made. I'm just
you thought your schedule was wrong, right?
Yeah, I'm like, okay, this
they sent me the wrong file.
No, so we have a really fantastic documentary called Dina. It's by Dan Sickles and Antonio Santini. And Antonio Santini is from Puerto Rico, but it's about this autistic woman that is getting married, and it's really funny, and how she has this love affair with her husband that's also on the spectrum.
Right.
It's really, really fantastic. And then on that Friday evening, Thursday evening, sorry, I'm thinking last year, we show what's
Bad
that?
Lucky Goat.
Bad Lucky Goat, which is my
Kareem's
favorite
movie in the world. Everyone has to come and watch this movie.
I saw the trailer for that. I'm like, how are they going to do this? And then the trailer gave away a little too much. There's some stuff that I didn't want to know.
Yeah.
But like, I'm going to have to leave work early to get to that.
I saw it in Trinidad this year, and I was just like, this movie is really, really amazing.
I'm already reeled in just based on the name.
The name is
Bad
amazing.
Lucky Goat. And they made it for like $100,000 or something, and it's just
two kids go on an adventure. I mean,
say no more. It's a coming of age tale because all I need to hear, is coming of age tale, and I'm locked in. No matter what happens, I'm good.
Like quick take, like that's why like Lady Bird the best is here. It's like all I need is a coming of age tale, and then I'm done.
Then you're in.
I'm done. I'm like that's gonna be the best movie.
It's the easiest way to reel people in.
It
really is. It's that or a love story. Those two, the common tropes that always get people in.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's Bad Lucky Goat. And
yeah,
then
that's a must see. It's a must.
And then the 8:30 showing. This is in the cinema or on the lawn for When God Sleeps.
When God Sleeps is in the cinema. Bad Lucky Goat is outside.
Is outside.
And then outside there'll be hot dogs and stuff like that, and like knickknacks for people to snack on. Yeah.
Dope. Awesome. So that's the Thursday night, and I think. So your film actually shows on Friday, if I'm getting the schedule correctly. So that's when Cargo shows.
Triple check.
She nodded, so that's what I know is real.
That's why I'm here.
I knew it was real.
Yeah.
So Cargo, you had your debut in the Bahamas. It had an amazing response from people. It was a packed house.
Yeah.
So like everyone showed up. It was an event.
Yeah.
And now you're showing it again at a film festival that you're one of the people in charge of organizing.
Well, we forced him to. I mean,
did you have to like really twist his arm?
Did you really have to force him, or did you have to like nudge him?
You can tell by the time slot that everything was already scheduled.
Listen,
and we're like, maybe
that
we
was gonna
should
be
do a Cargo.
okay. Thank you for saying the time slot thing, because that was gonna be like my complaint. I'm just like, well, why doesn't have? Isn't this like a night showing on the lawn? So even though Bahamian,
it might be a conflict, right?
No. Well, one of the other mantras for the film festival is also that we want to really engage, the local youth. So we partner with University of Bahamas and a couple of local schools, which is why we placed the Cargo screening at 3:00, because we've actually been able to partner with the university, and they're going to be busing some students over.
Now that reasoning I appreciate, because now I get it.
It's at 3, and that's why it's already sold out.
The kids will love. The kids will love it.
Exactly.
They get to go to school early, because then you got to bus them from school all the way to the Island House Film Festival. You already have like a engaged audience at that point.
Yeah.
Give them popcorn, some soda, not too much soda, and they'll be good to go. Now. The subject matter of Cargo so I'm assuming like what age range?
They need to hear this.
These university students.
University students. Okay.
They're 8.
Because there's one or two shocking moments in there. Right?
11th and 12th graders could have gotten away with like saying Cargo, man. They have YouTube. They know what's up.
Not just got away with it. They should see it. I feel like that's a story that they need to know. But for you, Kareem, how different is your swagger going to be headed into this? Because obviously you have the nerves about you for the premiere, right? Mm-hmm. That you guys had. But this is different. People have seen it. There's already been a response out there for it. You a bit more relaxed this time, or what's it going to be like headed into this?
I'm very relaxed because it's been like it was very well supported, right? Yeah. And then I haven't heard any negative things yet about it.
No, Bahamian people don't tell you T-face.
No. Of course.
So it's a little bit different because like as a part of the film festival and the programming guy, part of my job is being of service to the filmmakers, and then also being a filmmaker myself in the festival. It's an unusual circumstance, So, but I feel I haven't done a Q&A at any of the screenings besides the opening.
Because and even that one, like it seemed like a long night, and then they brought you guys on for the Q&A.
And everyone's like,
we're gonna do a whole Cargo interview probably out there sometime this weekend. But like when you have a Q&A, and especially when this is gonna be university students asking you these kinds of questions, they're gonna have questions on like filmmaking in general in the Bahamas, like their ideas, and this is the part where you get to do like your Bahamian filmmakers, you can't do this part of the podcast, so I'm gonna let you just go with that, and then we'll circle back around to for the event you guys are gonna have Sunday. So like, what are you gonna like try to communicate to these kids who might be interested in film and doing something like that, engaging in the process? And then I'll give you my rant about Cargo, which is going to center around me not being cast at all. So go ahead.
Okay. Well, we didn't know each other.
Listen, earlier just before you get started, when we were talking about, people's attitudes heading into this, in my head, I was already an extra in Kareem's next film.
I'm saying I could be in the next film.
I am going to be so pretentious at the next film festival.
You don't even
without
know
a speaking
what
line.
I'm going to wear. It's just going to be like a black sheet.
I'd be like, you people have 50 minutes because I'm famous now. I was an extra. I don't need speaking lines because I just have that much talent. And then I'll just do interviews 15 minutes at a time. This is what's happening.
I could have been a defense force officer, or at the very least a fisherman.
That guy on the boat, right?
That guy on the boat. Okay, go. So, Bahamian filmmaking.
So we also have a panel on Bahamian filmmaking, a state of Bahamian.
And that one's going to be on Sunday, right?
Yeah, and then we also have a film finance one that people should go to, because we do have the executive producer of the financier of The Butler. and he's going to talk about how you structure and finance a movie. And so come to that. But in terms of like what the Q&A imparting to Bahamian filmmakers and film creators with Cargo, as well as what I do at the Island House Film Festival is kind of one and the same, right? And so it's like demystifying the process of filmmaking, because people think there's this mystifying process, but all it is having the ability to and the courage to just take the first step, and you get better and better and better. You know, unfortunately, we it's a business that you have to nurture people in. I was telling Anja the story. This is gonna sound really bougie, but I was at a party with Nicolas Cage once.
Love it already.
I mean,
love it already.
I was at a party.
And at a dinner party, and he said something really, really important. He's like, talent is abundant, right? But talent is very fragile, and talent needs nurturing. And so that's what we look to do with the Q&A, with the programs that we have at the Island House Film Festival, is to nurture people, because sometimes you always need that one little thing to know that, hey, my dreams may not be as common, but it's definitely attainable.
Right.
And so it's
not some like wild fantasy. You can achieve it.
These
things can happen.
Yeah.
If I met Nicolas Cage, I'd spend 2 hours talking about Face Off, but that's a whole.
Oh no! Yeah.
See, I would go Con Air.
Yeah, Con Air.
Oh, I love Con Air.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean,
Leaving Las
obviously we love
Vegas,
Con Air.
man. Yeah.
I know that was good. He was gonna go down that road.
Moonstruck.
Kareem.
He's great at the awful one-liners, and he was at his peak in Con Air. Okay,
Yeah,
like
in the 90s.
there's no getting around.
Okay, let's not get derailed and
Anyway.
talk about Nicolas Cage the entire time.
Yeah.
I kind of want to, but also after Cargo, it's going to be showing the Florida Project.
Yes.
Is on the docket.
That's definitely a highlight for this year.
It's one of the highlights for this year, and I watched the Florida Project. I really enjoyed it. There were many moments while watching it, and I went to school in Florida, went around the state a whole lot, South Florida, even up to the Panhandle, and I just kept saying in my head, like, while chuckling, "This is so Florida." This is so Florida. Like every little bit about it like ran true. So it's gonna be exciting to see the premiere. We're gonna do interviews with some of the cast that's going to be coming down for the Florida Project. So what's for people who don't know about the film, can you just give them like a quick refresher on?
Yeah, I'm going to butcher it. Anja, do you want to take care of that?
Well, I mean, butcher. I think Florida Project is definitely one of those sort of hot Oscar nominees start on Monday, so we're all sort of excited to see which movies we've chosen are going to be actually nominated. But the Florida Project is definitely a movie where it's a raw movie about a woman whose relationship with her daughter, and this young girl's acting talent is amazing. So I think just for that, and for Bria, who was coming down, we're very thrilled to be having, and she's actually someone who is really just new to the film industry, and she was found on Instagram, so she's definitely also relatable to, I think, a lot of the hopes and dreams of a lot of our local starlets and stars who are putting themselves out there and telling their stories, and her story was found, and she was actually discovered to be on this blockbuster movie.
That's kind of amazing.
So obviously the Florida Project as such is an intense story about a coming of age of a woman and a relationship. But it's also really going to be a story about her. So that's, on one side we're bringing her down, but we're also bringing her down to tell her story how she actually really got forward. Because that's what we mean with like connecting with the audience. I think, we have a young, talented audience here in the Bahamas, and I think, seeing Kareem's success, seeing, Bria's success, and then some of the other Caribbean filmmakers we're bringing down, it's going to be a great time for people to connect and see, that you can dream, and, dreams do come true, and you just got to work hard at it.
So when I saw this on the docket, I got excited about it. I had not seen any trailers because I try to avoid trailers sometimes. So I saw the name.
I try not to give it away, but
I saw the name Florida Project, and then I thought it was a documentary, and I saw the kids and be like, wait, these kids are acting.
Oh my goodness.
How are they acting so like effortlessly?
So
And then Willem Dafoe shows up, and I'm like, oh, this is not a documentary at all.
No.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
but it's so raw. It's. But I think it's. I mean, I don't know. Kareem's obviously a filmmaker, but I feel like it's almost a trend where filmmaking is going a lot of times now. It's that sort of fine line between documentary and storytelling, and I think the Florida Project does that so well because it is so raw and so real, and you are sometimes wondering, just as you, it's like, oh, is this actually documenting life in Florida? And the the maybe desolate hopelessness of sometimes, you know, just living outside of, you know, the dream world of Disney World. So it's going to be a fascinating...
To speak about the marketing aspect of it for a little bit, like even the poster, it kind of communicated a documentary feel.
Oh yeah,
for
it's
me.
got the rainbows and like, you know, the bright
like,
colors.
And it's always great to be surprised that way by a film when you go in and be like, this is why I enjoy this process and I enjoy this art form.
And it's too bad that she could always talk about the filmmaker. So the filmmaker of that film is Sean Baker, and Sean Baker did a film called Tangerine that was like pretty buzz about 2 years ago, but he shot it on an iPhone 5.
Wow.
Yeah, and so he has so he has like this really and then it made him like it enabled him to do this movie.
It's more of like a guerrilla style when you do something like that. Like,
yeah, but it was really a beautiful movie.
What's his storage plan like?
I don't know.
I know, right?
I don't know, but it was really smart because iPhone probably jumped aboard.
I was about to say, I think he meant to say he shot on several iPhone 5s. Not just one. It's like a series of them.
No, it's interesting how the way people get their work out there.
Yeah, and I think the line between reality and scripted film and stuff like that, like Anja was saying, I think people want it to be blurred because people now are so caught up and people are drawn to real stories more than they are, you know, something involved in fantasy. So anything that's closer to that line, you'll have, because I think you see more of yourself in those kind of stories, and people want to see film that, you know, they could see themselves being a part of, where they can see the people around them. Hey, that could happen to me, or that could happen to someone
totally
I know.
Relatable.
Yeah.
There's a couple of movies on, you know, I think, you know, Dina and a couple of movies have that, you know, where you're like, is that documentary? Is that, you know,
Is it scripted? So that's going to be the Friday night, and then there's the salsa party.
Yes.
And people are going to dance. There's going to be much dancing.
I'm going to practice. I'm practicing.
I'm going to practice. There's going to be many awkward videos of us, hopefully.
It's okay.
And then Wake Up Saturday, and then there's a workshop about film and television. So you know, a lot of people here, like we said, like the media industry in the Bahamas is kind of blossoming at this point. A lot of people are getting into it, like becoming more engaged in what they need to do. So this is going to be very instructive for them.
Oh, very much.
If you want to come here and have a talk with some professionals, get some feedback, learn more about your craft. So who's going to be running that the 9:30 slot one?
The 9:30 slot, is that Evelyn?
Evelyn, yeah.
Evelyn. I don't know if you guys met Evelyn Vaccaro, but she was here last year with her film called Pot Cake Life.
Yes,
which is really well attended. But she's also an actress and a stunt woman. I think she does a couple she does stunt work for a couple of shows that on television.
She's
I think
Orange is the New Black.
Orange is the New Black. She was J-Lo's stunt woman for a couple projects, stunt double for a couple of.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Go ahead. I'll let you take it. I'll let you take it.
I want you guys to know what exactly happened, because I remember her from last year, right?
Yeah, she's
and
awesome.
when he said that she was J-Lo's stunt woman, I saw Ronaldo's head like perk up, and I could see his eyes from below his hat. I was like, you have to stop the podcast.
She's her stunt double, which means she looks like J-Lo?
What?
Okay.
Go Google.
Yeah, you have to.
You know,
You see her
running and, you know, falling and.
Okay,
but
so
she's got an awesome. I mean, I think we obviously fell in love with her. She has a strong relationship with the Bahamas. She used to live here for a while, so you know, so she knows, you know, the Bahamian audience. She knows us now quite well because she came last year, and I think she was one of the first people who were like, we need to have Evelyn back. You know, Evelyn's energy is amazing. You know, her passion for the craft. She did a workshop last year, which was just so well received. So this year we've actually slotted in 2 workshops with her, and the Saturday morning one we've had to add like 5 more. We've just reached our limit now, and that I think, you know, almost like 2 weeks out we were already sold out, or not sold, they're all free. We were booked out for all the spots. So the audience and the reception has been great, and she's going to be doing a 4-hour intensive workshop on sharing her knowledge on how to prepare for casting, how to prepare your reel, what to think about, what, you know, to cover, and then she'll be doing some hands-on film work, you know, just on how you get perceived on the camera, et cetera, et cetera. That's going to be a 4-hour session, so it's going to be a really great morning where, you know, people that are interested from the field, and, you know, just looking through the names that people have signed up, there are definitely a lot of the people that, you know,
the usual suspects,
that, you know, that really are, you know, wanting to get themselves out there, already are, and are just excited for the opportunity to meet and, you know, be able to just ask questions.
It's an opportunity to get better, to learn more about your craft.
And just to have someone that is out there in the industry, you know, working in New York and being casted and, you know, having done this for quite some time. So, and just on that note, just on the Thursday afternoon at around 4:00. She's also just going to be doing a Q&A. So the one on Saturday is booked out, but on the one on Thursday afternoon at 4:00, we still have some spots. So that's just a 2-hour session where she'll just be sharing. It's going to be more of like a shortened version of what she's doing on Saturday. So that's a time when people can just come and ask questions and get to meet her on a more intense, smaller level. So that's something you can just sign up as well.
Perfect. So also on on the Saturday, there's going to be the documentary filmmaking. There's another panel. So in the Bahamas, I think sometimes people just want to go with the more scripted stuff. Yeah. Go with the more like, oh, let me write something new. But like there are stories here that can be told through the lens of a documentary style. But, and like you said, you need to like take away the veil so people can see maybe this is something I can also be interested in, because there are many interesting stories here. Yeah. Even doing this 10th year senior stuff, meeting some amazing characters. Nal's favorite was the guy who...
Oh, Captain Ed. Captain Ed was one of our most listened to podcasts. Really?
Right.
He's amazing.
He survived... Where
was Captain Ed?
He survived the hurricane on his own on a deserted key. Just by himself on a key. He stripped naked and he tied himself to a tree. And he just rode up the storm like that. It's an incredible podcast.
That's what we thought the podcast was going to be about.
And it was not. It was about his entire life. Like, he just casually dropped in all of these amazing gems. Like, because we started talking about that story because obviously it's incredible. And he said, I first learned these tactics while I was in the jungles of Colombia looking for my brother. And I said, wait, what?
Rewind.
Like, how did that happen? Wow. And then he just started talking about everything that you expected in the Bahamas that happened in the 80s. Yeah, he was a part of. I'll put it like that.
So like that's what I'm saying. So there's so many awesome stories like that can be told, but like people just need to have their stories out there. So for people who are going to attend the documentary filmmaking workshop, have these ideas in your head, because there can be people who who in your family right around the corner who can have these awesome stories that
would make an amazing film.
I mean, yes, this is
It would.
It was amazing. Even the stories he told about Miami. Just as soon as I listened to that, I was like, this is our best work.
Because especially now with like Narcos out there, everyone wants to know what happened in the Bahamas in the 70s and 80s. Like, I'm like, after I watched the first season, I was getting all the books, reading up on everything that was happening here.
It's such a big part of the story that has not been told. It's a huge part of that story.
Yeah. But anyway, so
this is a time, Kareem. Jump on board.
I know.
Jump on board. It's so hot right now.
So also on Saturday we have two of the Caribbean films, The Cutlass and Green Days by the River. And I just want to start with The Cutlass first, because I had a friend, he wanted me to ask a very specific question to you guys.
About The Cutlass?
About The Cutlass. He says, I want to go see The Cutlass, right? It's at 8:30, but your party's at 7. How do we do this? Wow. I'm like, yo, just like you just gotta like go to the party, go watch the movie, and then come back.
Go back to the party.
Or other way around. We're telling people to do other way around.
Oh wait. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Or you can get some food and then go watch the movie and then come back.
Yeah. See, there you go.
Yeah, we just realized there's some people that aren't going to come to a party. They want to watch a movie, right? And then we don't want to put the movie at Cutlass at like 2 in the afternoon.
I understand because that trailer I actually watched is like, I'm interested in this.
It's a thriller movie, and it's not a typical festival movie, but it's important in the way that it's a well-crafted Caribbean thriller. And that's something to be said.
Because we always like the Caribbean films. A lot of times they don't go towards that genre, but like when you see something that's a thriller and then it has like action movie annotations, and it reminded me of the Russell Crowe kidnapping movie Proof of Life and like that kind of stuff. It's like, oh, so now we're becoming more expansive. Like someone's actually going to be showing like there's going to be like not only guns in this movie, but like there's going to be people in peril, like the idea of danger. And I believe that was based off of a true story, that one.
Yeah, I think inspired by true events. There's been some kidnappings in the history of the country.
Yes.
So tropical wilderness.
Tropical wilderness.
Yeah.
So that one. Okay, so I'm gonna sort them out on The Cutlass and be like, I spoke. I'm like, we're doing the podcast tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, I got you. Like,
you could do both. I mean, the party's gonna go till 2.
Yeah, I mean, party's going late. We got CRX playing.
All right, then I'm definitely gonna go watch this movie. I'd be
John
like,
Canoe Rush rush hour will be 10:30. You can catch that still, and then you can just dance.
So because the movie's an hour and a half.
There you go.
Yeah.
See, these are the questions people who are going to show up need to know.
Yeah. Now, these are important. The logistics of how you party and consume your film. This is all very important.
And then you give it a rating after you party. You be like, after 4 drinks, be like, that was amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So also on that day, Green Days by the River, that's going to be showing at 11.
Yes.
And that one looked more coming of age stuff. It looked very engaging.
I'm trying to tell you, that's the way to go.
This is the way to go if you want to get into the film festival game.
So it's based on a very popular Caribbean book that they teach on. I think they may be teaching on BGCSE.
Yeah, a lot of
and they teach it. They definitely teach it on. It's definitely on the CXC syllabus, which is the Caribbean examinations. We don't do CXC in the Bahamas, right?
No.
But we do BGCSE. Yeah. So I would think they're quite similar. Right. And so it's the first adaptation of this well-loved book set in Trinidad. And the director and the producer will be here to talk more about that film. But that film is also doing well as well. Yeah. It's very beautiful and very lush. And it's a period piece. It's set in the 50s, you know. And so the Caribbean.
Whenever I see stuff, I'm like, you have to be so technically proficient when you do a period piece like that. Yeah. And because there are different YouTube pages where people point out all the flaws.
I was about to say the thing about
towers.
So
the thing about a period piece is you are going to have trolls, so you gotta do your best to try to circumvent all of the trolls. So you gotta have all the ducks
the costumes look really great in it. Yeah, so and I got it and. See, some trailers you watch, some ones you don't, and even that one's it started to take a darker turn towards the end. Be like, this is how you engage someone to want to go watch a film. So I'm excited. That one I'm definitely going to see. It's 11 on a Saturday. Wait, I'm gonna be out west. I've already told. I even spoke to I spoke to Ife about this. You just gotta be out west for 5-day period and then just get it done. So that's going to be on the Saturday and. For Sunday, we spoke about the Bahamian filmmaking panel that's going to happen.
We also have The Price of Memory on Saturday.
The Price of Memory. Okay.
Which is going to be intense. It's a documentary as well, correct?
Yeah, so it's a documentary by Karen Marks Mafundikwa.
That's why I let Kareem do that.
How much did you practice that?
No, I could tell he was prepared. He was because you saw the inflections and everything. His face changed. He was ready for that.
He was ready for that. Should have opened the podcast and Mafundikwa be like,
"Hello,
what?
My name is Kareem Mafundikwa."
Karen is a good friend. That's why.
That means Karen has said, "Get my name right."
Yeah, so it took me a while to get it, but now I have it. So I'm very proud of my pronunciation of her last name. She's actually Jamaican. She was married to a Zimbabwean fellow filmmaker as well. And her film is very important. Her film is about a group of Rastafarians that petitioned the Queen when she visited Jamaica in 2002 for reparations. So that's... It's
a really strong movie. Yeah. It's a 2:30 on 2:30 on Saturday. And that's just going to be an amazing.
I have a full day.
Bookmark it.
Bookmark it. In the dark all day.
Bookmark it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm with it.
Karen.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be a real.
I also wanted to be like, what that turned out.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go ahead and guess. But no, I still want to see how it plays out.
See how it plays out. How these rosters
did the rosters get their reparations? Questions that need answers.
The thing is that it was a big deal, but it wasn't reported in any news outlet.
No.
This is my first time hearing about it.
I mean, it was taken really far in the process, and this documents, the whole process and, the legal system on how, they were pushed back.
And how, reparations are paid to other people and, why do you exclude it for this one? And then the impact of, if we give reparations for this, then how, especially as part of the Commonwealth, every Commonwealth country would be like, what? So that's very interesting. Okay.
So that's going to be a fascinating movie as well.
I mean, if you pretty much at one point your empire ran the world and you started giving out reparations, that's a whole lot of reparations you're going to have to give out. I'm saying.
But it takes those that try, and those people that to vocalize, and just not accept. So I guess that's the beauty, I think, of this documentary too.
We're going to start an effort. We're going to do one for the Bahamas.
We should start it.
Yeah.
We're going to start.
Well, we got to make it to a film first.
10Y.
I feel like we got to make it to a film first.
10Y reparations.
So our voice has some kind of, we got to put some oomph behind it. So after we're extras in this film, and we can be considered credited actors. then we're going after this.
My IMDb page is going to be amazing.
Yes.
So, just one.
I just need one.
One extra credit.
I just need one.
That's all I need is one.
Then I'm wearing a cape every day.
Put me on the radar. Put me on the radar.
I'm wearing a cape every day if I get one credit.
That visor V. Stiviano used to wear. People know.
Oh yes.
See,
everybody knows it.
See, boom, there you go. I gotta get that visor going.
Of course.
Okay, so any other highlights you wanna?
On Saturday, just the only last thing is how to obtain an agent. We're bringing
Dan DiFilippo.
Yes,
Dan DiFilippo is a manager in in New York. He represents a lot of my friends that work in the film industry, and Dan is a great person that advocates for his artists. He tells you how to get, like, we're all in media, right? How do you get a manager? How does a manager negotiate on your behalf to maximize your income potential? And so that would be like sort of the crux of the talk. And so a lot of people that are in media should come to learn how to monetize themselves, how to work internationally. If you want to work internationally, what that would entail, like what kind of visas you would need, and how do you go obtaining those visas. And so I think that would be a very important talk.
And it's not only for, the actors, what you think, but it's obviously for filmmakers, cameramen, for writers. It's really just, the filmmaking industry is so vast, from, sound technicians to music composers to writing, etc. So so I think it's really anyone who obviously doesn't have the passion to be in front of the camera, but there's so much talent that needs to be managed behind, and I think we've got great storytellers here in the Bahamas, so that would be a great opportunity.
That's very, very interesting, and that one should be as crowded as the film and television and as the acting one, because sometimes you have to, if this is something you really want to do, you have to wear all of these hats simultaneously. You have to think of the business end of it, like how am I going to feed myself while I also want to do these creative things and like grow as an individual. So, okay, we need to highlight this, and when we share this podcast, we're going to put these full schedule of some events that we want to.
It's really, it's really important, and I think because Dan, I've hired a couple of his clients before on my projects, and he really goes hard in the paint for his clients, like he requests so much of them. And I was watching this movie the other day. It was a movie with Mandy Moore. Do you know this movie when she was like this pop singer?
Yes,
I do know this movie.
I know this movie.
And then she asked her mom, like what's a manager? And she was like, a manager is someone that's really mean so that you seem really nice.
That's facts. That actually makes sense, because someone has to be the bad guy.
Represent you.
But I think that that workshop goes back to something you said earlier about demystifying this whole process, especially for young Bahamians, because you have to realize even if you're not in front of the camera, this is an entire industry. So there's a way for you to get in there. And I know because in the Caribbean, the career path you're guided down, a lot of the times filmmaking isn't one of the main ones, or anything in the creative or art-based industries. People won't guide you toward that path, but it is an entire industry out there. You have to be business minded, and you have to think it's not just this one job. There's so many different avenues for you to pursue. So I think this workshop's really important for a lot of the young people that want to be involved in this industry.
Yeah, and that's what the Island House Film Festival is all about. It's really about creating a platform for people to learn and be inspired by the opportunities. That's why all the talks and workshops are all free. You just really have to sign up, but just stop by and start opening your horizons and figuring out where you want to go.
So we come to the last day of the film festival.
Yes,
the sad day, the day that you guys will be like,
we're gonna be like,
it's a success. I'm so happy. It was great, but I'm happy it's over. I get to sleep.
That's what it's like whenever you're throwing any party, right? Because at the beginning,
it's a 5-day party.
So their first hour of the party is like the first day. So you're anticipating how many people are gonna show up, how great is it gonna be, but then by the time you're at the end of the party, you're just relieved.
Yeah. They're both going to be very punchy. Like, Kareem is going to talk reckless in the state of Bahamian filmmaking. I already know. He's just going to be like, listen, guys, let me tell you a story. He's like smoking a cigarette even though he doesn't smoke. You're like, it's all night. But also on the last day, we have Jeffrey, What Lies Upstream, and Call Me By Your Name, which is getting also some Oscar buzz and some top 10 buzz. So of those films, what do you guys want to highlight? What do you guys want to like discuss or think people should?
I think people should see Jeffrey.
Okay.
People should see it all.
Everything. Yeah, I phrased that wrong. Yeah, see everything. Go watch everything. Yes.
It's manageable. It's like 12 movies, 15 movies.
Yeah,
right?
it's 12, 2, and 5.
Slight work. Yeah. And, what else are you gonna do with your Sunday?
But
don't go to brunch. Go do this.
So Jeffrey is amazing. It won at TIFF last year. It won the Discovery Award, and Yanelise Perez is coming down. She's the director of the movie. It's a movie about this kid, like Afro-Latino kid that lives in this like impoverished neighborhood that wants to be. He's a window washer and he wants to be a reggaeton rapper. And so it's about him. It's also a film shot in my life. It's shot in a documentary narrative. It's a narrative, but it's shot in a documentary style, and it's really, really fantastic and really, really special. Also, we're showing that's not in the program, but we're showing Bahamian short films that precede certain features. So we have 5 Bahamian short films. And so
now you have my attention. Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, so one shows prior to Bad Lucky Goat, which is the St. John's Green Solar Car Challenge. They made a solar car challenge, and it's a 10-minute documentary that would precede Bad Lucky Goat, and the students will be there. We have Maria Govan. She did the Caribbean Flamingo, like a 15-minute documentary about the Caribbean Flamingo and Inagua. And then we have Andre Musgrove, who did the Bahamas Below. I don't know you Andre Musgrove, but he's a really fantastic underwater DP. He's very young. I think he's maybe below 25 or younger. And he made this really beautiful hypnotic underwater piece that precedes What Lies Upstream.
What Lies Upstream, okay.
Yeah, and then who else is there? There's
And
Guavaduf by Santia and Anaya Dean. They're a group of
I thought she meant actual guava duff. Okay.
Yeah,
both very exciting though. Both very exciting.
So come on,
Ragged Island Project.
And then the Ragged Island Restoration Project. Yeah, done by Neville Smith.
Oh, that should be really interesting because that's a story.
Timely.
That's a story that's going on right now.
I want to see all of these.
Yeah.
Okay, but so all right. Well, wait. So they're going to be shown before certain films.
Right?
A couple
features.
Films.
Yeah.
Now, is there any like consideration of maybe putting them together so people can see all of them?
Well,
I mean,
we thought about that, but
on like a Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean they
like next week. You didn't even have to do it within this time frame.
They add up to 45 minutes, which is kind of a difficult. Difficult odd thing to program. We thought about that.
They're Netflix trained.
Yeah,
they'll be like, this is dope.
But if we get, the links or, we'll be able to provide people the opportunity to see them maybe again.
Send us the links. We'll share those out for you as well. Yeah.
With Jeffrey, What Lies Upstream is really good. It's done by another friend of ours, a friend at the festival, Colin Hoback. And I don't know if you know Colin's first film. His previous film was a film called Terms and Conditions May Apply, which is I have seen it, yeah. And so the type of filmmaker he is. He's really investigative, like really shocking stuff. And so this producer will be here. And so that's another film. And of course, the big Oscar buzz we'll see tomorrow where it's gonna land, but they have we've been in communication with Sony for like a couple weeks with this film, trying to secure it, and it seems like they really going for the Oscar campaign for this film. Yeah, it's that good and that strong.
Yeah.
I'll probably
Call Me by Your Name. Closing.
Yeah. That'll be the closing film, and listen. As he went through that the full schedule, I became tired myself, not just from watching it, be like, we have to like interview and talk to all these people because all of these stories sound so interesting and you want people to hear these stories or have an avenue or a platform to just communicate not only their ideas, but their work. And it's so important for the Bahamas and for filmmakers to be like, because I just like hearing people's stories and be like, listen, I didn't think this was going to work, and then this worked, and then it came together, and now I'm getting this amazing response from it, from anything from a short to a feature length. Like the same amount of passion, the same amount of work has to like go into it.
And then we also the morning we have the How to Finance a Passion Project at 11:30, and so on that panel we have Stefan Kathleen, who is a film financier, and his executive producer I don't remember his name, Jeremy Guez, I think.
Listen,
And
you're
then
doing amazing with the names.
I
can't.
know.
There's no way I
Draw
can do
foreign
this.
names.
Also
too.
bookmark this because we have a little passion project that we need to finance.
Yeah.
Yes,
Like
yes, we
like
do.
this.
we do.
Bookmark it.
There's a couple. Yeah, there's also Jonathan Rubinstein.
Jonathan Rubinstein, who executive produced and
Butler.
financed Butler. We have and then Alexander Yunus, who obviously worked with Best Ever Film, who's co-founder of Best Ever Film, which is our company, and about how we were able to finance a passion project like Cargo,
Here in the
which
Bahamas.
was low. So you have three different. You have the one that does it through like from a finance perspective,
Looked
like
very expensive. Let me just tell you.
well, you know, it's definitely was.
Send me all
struggle.
those links, Kareem.
Yeah.
But it's possible, and I think
It's
that's the
possible.
beauty of it, that we do have a lot of support out there that is, wanting to invest in filmmaking and in Bahamian talent, which is just so exciting. So I
Yeah.
think that's Cargo's a perfect representation of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So many. It's people with different unique ways on how to three different ways of how to finance a movie, and so there's no one way to finance a movie, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay. We're
Yeah.
gonna how to find now we're going.
and in the state of Bahamian,
We have to.
filmmaking-
Like, I feel like if there's any,
We
that
have
is the
to.
one that we cannot miss.
We're leaving.
Like, we've got no choice.
We're
I feel
leaving
like
the
you
party.
should just live at the Island House for the next week.
I know.
Try.
We're
Like,
just
gonna
get a
pitch up
room.
some tents. We're
Yeah.
sold out that week, but
Listen.
Can we pitch tents?
hey,
wait.
there's a couple of fields around.
Listen.
Okay, first of all, don't tell us that. 'Cause then when you wake up and see a tent
No, 'cause I-
on the lawn and have to explain to be like,
No, I was
who
being
is this?
I was being serious. Like, we can legit pitch a tent. Like, I would
I
do that.
mean-
I would sleep outside. It's a pretty far drive.
It's a very far drive. I already told Miguel, like, listen, you can live out east in my place. and
trading
then
apartments,
We're
yeah.
trading apartments for
Yeah.
that weekend.
That is our actual plan.
That's our actual plan.
We're trading apartments with our.
You have to
friend
make
that lives
sacrifices
close
for
by.
things that you really want to do. Like, that's just the bottom line of it. So, lastly, guys, any last words on people coming to the film festival? It's going to be a very open and inviting
Sell it.
atmosphere. I love it. I was looking forward to this when I think I was out at Philosophy. I saw Lauren and I hadn't seen any advertisement for it yet. And I'm just like, so like y'all ain't putting
Is it
on no
happening?
dates though. like this is my January's kind of like built around it. You hermit after Christmas and then I haven't been anywhere until like right now. I'd be like, this is gonna be an intense 5 days. So sell it, guys. Come on.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I think we're proud of the lineup. It's it's going to be, a lot of the movies are sold out, so we hate to disappoint. I think obviously a lot
That's
of
what
the
you
big blockbusters.
You need to
it's a
have
1 week
emails
out, so
of people asking you for favors.
And what I must say, the power of social media in this country is
Yes.
amazing. If you say you didn't see a lot of posters out there, it's almost, you don't even have to put posters out there. You got to put posts out there. You got to put event pages, get the word out, and it's
Everyone's on their phone
beautiful
all the
way
time. There
that
you go.
we communicate on this island or in this country. So it's something that I think we're just obviously proud of, that it's come to this and we're able to facilitate a second festival. There's, I think, something for everyone. So if you want to bring your family out on a Friday evening, we've got some really great outdoor movies where you can just enjoy a movie under the stars and a hot dog. But then there's some really intense movies and documentaries where you can really learn and grow, as well as free workshops and talks where you can engage and talk. And then parties. So, Saturday night, get your tickets. It's going to be a fun night where you can just, bump into a bunch of the different filmmakers, bump into a bunch of us, and just, get excited about what's going to happen next year.
And you will be surprised. I remember last year I saw Art Connect, and I'm like, it's getting dusty in here. And just being surprised by the film and how great it was. And it was like I had to go shake the guy's hand after the movie.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I hadn't seen something like that in such a long time that affected me on such a
That was a
visceral
beautiful
level.
film.
It was
Yeah,
so great. So
powerful.
I look forward to having that exact same
Yeah.
kind of reaction to some of these films that I haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you're listening to this, listen, this is one of my favorite things about the Bahamas, just
Oh,
that
thank
this
you.
film festival was created, and I think everything about it and everyone who's involved, and you guys included, are so genuine about it that I think it's something that we should all support.
Oh, yes. Well, it's about the people, right?
Right.
It's about like us providing a service, and like if we don't provide a service to what people, what their needs are, then what are we doing it for?
Right.
And so that's how we lead with our program, like with the Caribbean films, with our free workshops, with the guests that we invite down. Just like, how do we be of service to our community? And so the festival goes on for longer than maybe we do.